Good afternoon and welcome to our Vocations Café. It's quite a different topic that we usually do at Vocation Café. We meet and have conversations and chat about many different ways of life. I had a chance to chat with the oblates across the world about the oblate vocations, had religious sisters who shared their experience of religious life and their vocation. And as soon as we are working on the introducing in our parish here in St. Patrick in Hamilton, Ontario, the Moms Group or Moms Club, I noticed that Christina and Teresa put a little ad in the bulletin and asked us to advertise about it. And they had that it helps mom to embrace and understand better vocation to motherhood. And as soon as I read it, I thought, oh, we have to talk about it. Like, this has to be a topic that we have to share. I'm not an expert in that topic, as you can imagine. Somebody actually posted when we are advertising our Vocations Cafe that, well, you have a mother, don't you? Well, I do, but I love her dearly, but I think it's much better to understand what motherhood is about and what the vocation is about, actually from moms, because I think they know the best. So welcome, Teresa and Christina. We're very happy to have you here. And probably you will hear the noise from the backgrounds as well, because the kids are around. So for a while, we actually had a concert given us by one of the kiddos, and they were great. So it's like in real family. So the kids there do their thing, as you can hear. Yeah. So maybe I will ask you, Christina, Teresa, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. And there we go. Just jump in.
Okay, hi. So I'm Christina. I'm the music director at St. Pat's. I have 2 children. And just hanging out on the floor.
That's where the music comes from. And all the noise.
Over there. Matthew is 22 months and Eva is 9 months. So they're 13 months apart. It's been a very busy couple of years here in the Pachocki Crawford household. And yeah.
Matthew is almost 2 years, I can't believe. It
he'll
seems
be
like
2 in January. So
wow.
I know. And yeah, it's crazy. It's been a wild ride these past 2 years, but I'm enjoying it.
Yes, I can imagine.
I'm Teresa, and this is Felipe. He's 15 months. So, yeah.
There we go. It's always wonderful to see you both here. And if you had the chance to watch our masses or join us for the masses online on Sunday, especially 11:30, you will see them both, Christina and Teresa, playing or singing, and both playing and singing together. So they're a great team. And I'm glad we can talk about from the perspective of vocation on your motherhood, because we always look at vocation as answering to God's call. Like, God calls us in many different circumstances of life. And we all can be good Christians and fulfill our call through the baptism to embrace whatever reality of life we have. So you are moms. So maybe tell us a little bit your story before we go to motherhood. Every time when I meet with the couples, but when they're getting ready the paperwork or something like that, getting ready for marriage, I ask them, like, tell me your story. How have you met? And if you want to, just tell us a little the other half of this family.
Go, Teresa. I like your story. It's cute.
Well, I was entering 2nd year of undergrad, and I was like praying. I was like, okay, God, like, if you want me to date someone, it's got to be really obvious. Like, you know, I don't want to miss this, but like, if it's not obvious or like it doesn't come my way, like, I'll contemplate, you know, something else. So like, I'm pretty sure you're calling me to marriage, so we'll see. And I think we were like 3 weeks into year 2 of undergrad, and I walked in to join a traditional choir at St. Mike's in Waterloo. And there happened to be a young man there who he was there early. I was going early to meet the choir director, and he was there because he was learning how to sing. And yeah, that's how I met my husband. He always tells the story like, I came in and the light was setting behind the huge stained glass window in the church, and he's like, so there was like an aura around me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when he
That's
met
like-
me and I met him and I knew I was going to have a crush on him. I was like, oh no. So, yeah, so we've been together 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who would thought that the aura appearing over, it's almost like annunciation, you know? Wonderful. So that's your first child, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. Beautiful boy, he is. And Christina, what's your story?
It's not as exciting, I guess. I don't know.
Always exciting.
I'm quite a bit older than Teresa. And I've actually only been with my husband. We've been married for 3 years. I think we were together a year before that, actually, before we decided. So we lived in the same condo building, and we met at the mailbox one day. And one day, I just happened to be, it was like an evening, I was coming home, and Sean's brother was like, hey, do you want to come hang out with us? As we were passing at the mailbox in the front. I was like, oh, okay. And we were hanging out, and Sean had this giggle of a laugh, and I was like, oh, that's super cute. And that was it. And
actually, if you're watching our Sunday masses and the shot goes on the top of the choir, just keep an eye on their husbands, because they're most of the times they are there keeping an eye on the kids when they sing and do some work, providing for the family. So it's wonderful to see you there. And just to mention to all of you who are watching us, you can engage in the conversation. We'll be happy to hear from you, and just post your questions or comments if you wish in the comments area. We will see that, and as soon as we saw that, we will be happy to respond or comment on your questions. So today we are talking about the vocation to motherhood and to be a mom. So maybe share with us a little bit of your experience, like how that affects your life. How do you see this as fulfilling God's will for you, like being a mom, specifically from that perspective?
Well, they talk about, a vocation as being something overwhelming or, a deep devotion, right? And like you're devoted to your husband, but then this little one comes into your life and it just like blows that door that you thought was like, sacrificial love, like wide open. And you're like, oh, the fact that I'm like crying and happy and all of the things in like 5 minutes, and anything that happens to them, you get so worried and all that stuff. It changes so much.
You certainly pour the heart there, don't you? Like it's a part of you. Like it becomes your truly your life. And Christina, what's your experience of embracing that vocation?
I know I've always wanted to have children, and it's true. There's this just overwhelming sense of love that you feel like you just devote your whole life to them, and you just want to do the best that you can for them, and just sort of you have these little people, these little things that have come out of you. That you just, it's true. It's just this overwhelming sense of wanting to do good for them, wanting to have them, to show them all the love that you can, and to just, I don't know, just making sure that they have like a wonderful life as well. So it is. Unfortunately, Sean, he did learn, yes, 1 is a lot of love, and then 2 comes along. He's number 3 now, so.
That's exactly what I want to ask you. Like I think it's in all family life, in the couple's life. Did you notice like a change of the dynamic of your relationship? Well, you got married, there was just 2 of you, and all of a sudden there's that 3rd or 4th person in your life, in the family. It's that shift from just the family, the marriage of 2 to maybe from the marriage to a family. Like how was your experience? Did you face any challenges or joys that were related to it, or did you notice even a difference? Like share with us that tension there that might be happening.
Well, I know with when we had Matthew, I honestly, we didn't really have that much tension. Like Sean knows, Matthew's number 1. But it was just, I was very surprised at how much love Sean had for Matthew as well. And just, we tended to, it made us work together a lot better. Whereas I was surprised, I thought, you know, it is like we hadn't been together too long, but we've been living downtown, having, you know, this life. We moved up to the suburbs and popped out this kid, and but we tended to, I don't know, he just actually strengthened our relationship, which is, I don't know, and I was really surprised at what an amazing father he was. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you much.
No, that's because like that's interesting. Like, you're truly moving towards family, right? It's the relationship is changing.
Yeah, and it just, like, I found, for me personally, the way that it is such a different relationship, because before it was just the two of us, but now, I know that it was mostly like lust before, but now it's like him changing the diaper, or like, you know, taking Matthew out for the, you know, the afternoon, or just seeing how he is with Eva. My heart just like grows like 1,000 times more. Mm-hmm. It's like a deeper connection. So I don't know. I like it.
It's quite often that's what they say, and you will know that firsthand. The experience of intimacy, it comes much deeper than just the physical experience. Yeah. You have that experience of watching Sean changing the diapers, and this is actually the classic. And Christina, you probably have heard that hundreds of times, because I quite often use that story at the weddings. And I think it's brilliant description of what truly love is about, when the husband says to his wife, when the kids wake up in the middle of the night and cries in the bedroom next to theirs, "Keep sleeping, honey, I will go." That's precisely what love is about, like giving up what you have. Mm-hmm. Teresa, what can you share with us in that?
Well, Felipe has been very dependent on me. So I think probably I had a bit. So it's very hard for like Jason and I to get any time alone. So that's definitely been a struggle. Even just to talk sometimes, like now that he's like, you know, out doing things, like he's like running around and getting into things, and you like have a conversation, and then he's like in a kitchen cabinet he shouldn't be. So it's like, it's very jarring, I find, but yeah.
Or like he wants to go to bed, and then you're tired, so that you have to go to bed.
Yep, that happens.
How do you handle it? That's what I admire actually about moms, especially moms with the little kids. I remember, and that was years ago, where my nephews are now like in 21, 20, but when they were littles, like yours right now, when I was visiting home, and they were all over me, and like visiting my parents, and I was staying with my parents, they were all over me, and after 2 hours, I had enough. Like, I had a headache already, so I thought, okay, you guys can go home, so I can relax. You have this like 24/7. Like, how many Tylenols do you have to use a day?
I know it's super cliche, but when it's your own kid, it's okay. It's really, you love it. And then the funny thing is like you go away for like an hour. So like Matthew goes to school for 2 hours. You go away and you're like, at first you're like, oh, this is wonderful. But by the time that 2 hours is up, you're like, oh my gosh, I miss you so much. I just want to hug you. And like, it's crazy. It's that overwhelming love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I like every time I leave Felipe, whenever I come back, he just like instantly wants me, and I'm like, okay, baby, and then we just snuggle for a while. So, thankfully, there is an eking noise that some children make, and thankfully, Felipe doesn't do it that often. So, like, that is definitely
that's indeed a blessing, and that's vocation. Like you can see, like there are a variety of vocations that we have, and you have that gift, and that's what it counts. I want to welcome all of those who are joining us and tuning in and have a conversation with us. I see, and thank you for your comments. That Pam is here and wishing us good afternoon. Pam is in Ottawa right now, one of our Operate associates, and love having a sharing partner in parenting. Like I think that's what you just shared about your husbands and how they're participating in your life. And it's all about appreciating the small moments you get to be away and then recharge to be with kids. You see, that's what you can talk about it. Like moms can share those moments and appreciate them. Like, tell me, as we're once again, I invite all of you who are watching us. Please feel free to post your comments, ask the questions. We'll be happy to. Our moms will be happy to answer that. I cannot tell you much about vocation to motherhood, but they can, and certainly they know what they're talking about. But from that perspective, like being a mom, and you mentioned a little bit about it. Like, what do you find the most? If there's young woman wondering if this is for me, or like if I want to be mom anytime, or like, what do you find the most rewarding, the most joyful moment in being a mom? Like, what would it be? Like, how would you describe that?
It's so interesting when you have small children. It's like they need you specifically. Like there's a lot of reward in it. Like it's really hard, but you know that they need you, which is like interesting because I feel like, you know, in our lives, like, you know, you can do this job. Like if you're a secretary, maybe the church needs you to be the secretary, but they could find someone else. But like your kid, you know that no one's going to love them like you do, you know? So
there we go. Agreed. It's a unique relationship, isn't it? Like it is vocation. It's not even a job that you have like with your kids. It is truly vocation. Christina, what do you find the most rewarding in being a mom?
Well, it is like it's really, really, really cool when they, especially when I was telling you, Matthew's starting to like mimic a lot, and just it's when they learn things and you know that it's something that you do all the time and you see it in them, and it's super cute. Like I have to stop saying, I go, oh geez, because now Matthew always says, oh geez, or stuff like that. But just watching them grow and watching them learn stuff, and every time they do something new, and I've done this before, I'll be like, oh my gosh, today Matthew, he said one and put up one finger, and like you get super proud of things like that. But then everyone else is like, okay, I think that's great. Or like, oh my gosh, he said mama today. Like, okay, that's fine. But I just, you know.
So that's a little question, as you said. So who was first when he said? Was it mama or daddy?
Ooh. I think it was Dada, actually.
Oh.
He was Dada. Oh,
it's probably easier to say.
He was, yeah. But Eva was mama. But I will say this, and I don't know if this is too much information. Matthew was bottle fed, and Eva was not bottle fed. Eva was breastfed. And she said mama first, and Matthew said Dada first. Oop, don't do that.
There we go. That must mean something. That's the connection. That's the real connection. And I remember Matthew is always, because Matthew is kind of like growing up with our team at St. Pat's and quite often visiting. COVID kind of mixed up everything. We would love to have him here. And I think this is the only, and Teresa, you were there too as we were preparing for Sunday Masses in the new office. And it's so unique to walk to the office of our music director, and you can see the crib there for the kids. I don't think there's many offices that you can walk in and see, and it's so beautiful to see that actually that the kids are present there. And remember Matthew playing with the dogs, and they are huge, as you know, and Matthew standing up is kind of their size. Well, a little bit maybe taller now, but those are the days, like the real life, the real family is being brought into the parish life. And we talk about Joyce, and it's truly how rewarding it is to be a mom. But tell us what you find the most challenging in that. Like, well, what is the biggest struggle, or like that prepare the moms who are, or those who are about to be moms, like be ready for it.
There's a lot of stuff they don't tell you until you have a child.
Oh yeah. Like
a ton of stuff. Teresa, what was it? We were talking about something. I can't remember what it was.
And there's things that you hear and you're like, oh, that's not going to be me. And it's like, I think for me, one of the hardest things is like never having time.
Yeah.
Where like now he's like can be occupied on his own for like 5 to 10 minutes at a time. So like I have 5 to 10 minutes to do something. Which, you know, kids, you like spend what, a Saturday afternoon playing video games, 4 hours out hanging with friends, you know, like 10 minutes to do that now.
Yeah.
So it changes a lot.
Like the first time Sean and I actually had one whole evening to ourselves for the first time in 22 months, like last month. So it's, yeah, you don't get a lot of time.
You have to make those choices, I guess. I mean, and you can see that, like the reality of being a wife, being a parent, being in the family. You kind of have to make the choices. Like if you let the life run over you, like that will be quite a mess then. But you control that. I'm telling about, like, as you're saying about those separation with the little kids. My mom always tells. Oh, that's a good comment. We talking about the challenges, and I think that's when we will have some insights. We have the insights from you, but here we have another insight from Pam. I agree. The sudden lack of time. You don't have time for anything. And Pam, it was a shocking. No kidding. Nobody told you probably about it, that you won't have time for anything else.
Well,
and the priorities.
Yep. It like totally changes who you are, like having the kid. Like it's kind of shocking, like, you know, because, you know, for example, I spent 8 years in like post high school education, and then all of a sudden you have this kid and you're like, I would give it all up for them. Like I would just be a mom, like, you know.
Yeah. You have to be a lot less selfless, right? Yes. You have to really, like, you have no sense of self anymore. Like, not no sense of self, but you have to think always of these little people instead of because like Teresa said, they depend solely on you, right?
That's one wonderful gift to have, because I mean, in general, you as mom, you're giving us to witness to how to live our Christian life, like that selfless life, or the life of giving, the life of being for another person. And as truly from that perspective of vocation, that's when the inspiration is. And Pam as well, like Grace, it changes yourself of self, which is pretty good. And I think this is underlining the challenges, and probably you agree with that. Sleep deprivation.
Oh yeah,
there we go. Sleep deprivation is really real for moms.
Matthew was so good, and I used to listen to all these women being like, oh my gosh, I was up all night. Matthew, by 3 months, boom, slept through the night. She is 9 months. She is still up 3 or 4 times a night. It's like,
oh gosh. So that's when you're waking up every single morning, like 3 o'clock?
Yes. Wow. What is it now, Eva? 11, 2, 4, and 6. So we're up at 6 for good.
There we go. But you know, enjoy all those moments, because they will be teenagers one day. That's going to be fun. Yay.
And that's one thing that I think is going to be a real challenge too, is letting them not being able to make all the decisions for them, like being able to let them go and do their thing. And I think that's kind of something, I was reading about this, like with Mary, she had to let Jesus go and do, you know, he had to do what he had to do, right? And she, as a mother, I can only imagine like how difficult that would have been. And even just with our kids, like, oh my gosh, are they going to make the right choices? Are they going to do stuff? But as a parent, like, you have to be able to be ready to let them go.
To let them go. It's actually very interesting, as you said that, because like they are completely dependent on you at this stage of their life. Like they're completely dependent. And at some point they will start on their lives, their own choices. And as you mentioned, Mary, when you think about it, like Mary kept Jesus for quite a long time. He finally, I think when he reached 30, Mary was ready to say to him, okay, Jesus, it's time to move on. Like, to stop living with your parents at 30.
Hey, my mom is still here hanging out, helping me out. So I'm 36.
It's a blessing to have them. Like I remember my mom mentioning that when, and as I said, now my nephews are quite grown up, but when they were little kids, for my parents, when they became grandparents, was like a second motherhood. or second parenthood with much less responsibility and experience, because they already knew how to do that. So it wasn't a learning point for them, but it was truly like a joyful moment talking about vocation to motherhood. Maybe one day we can get someone to talk about the vocation to grandmotherhood, because it is different, and it's so beautiful as well. I think we are getting for some suggestions about the teenagers. That's the days is coming, and make sure they're slowing fast, growing fast. Pierre, thank you for sharing with us. Having a teenager and then having a new baby, it's a challenge.
Oh, wow.
You have become used to having your time to yourself, and then when the baby comes, it's a shock to the system. Lots of experiences of life, and I think that's what the reminder is for all of us. Like, life is not always perfect. It can be a messy. Like, I love hearing the kids in the church, and you know that they speak up and they pray with us and they sing with us. Matthew is dancing with us as well in the church. That's the sign of life. I mean, that's how real household looks like, and that's how here real world looks like, and it's wonderful to always see that. One more question, and once again, I remind those of you who are watching us, this is the last chance. Post your posts and comments if you want to hear from Teresa and Christina, maybe some words of advice or caution. But when you look from your perspective, being a mom of a little ones right now, share with those young women who are, discerning, maybe marriage, maybe to be mom. Is it the way of our life for me? Like, what is it must have to be mom? Like the quality or attitude in your life, or something that, like, without it you wouldn't be able to be mom, or you wouldn't be able to do a good job as mom.
Well, they always say that God only gives you what you can handle. So I think new motherhood is much more like a trial by fire scenario.
There we go. Love it. It's basically trying everything that's new, right? And answering, and that's how dynamic it is. And vocation is dynamic as well. But what would you see like the really qualities that the young woman would need to be able to be mom?
I think they need to be humble, for sure. To have humility and to be able to take the good with the bad, and just to be able to, I guess it sounds funny, roll with the punches too. Like, if something goes wrong, it's not necessarily your fault. It's, if something goes right, it just happens. It's the way, God made them. And if something goes wrong, it's up to his plan, right? Like, there's nothing you can do. You kind of just have to let it go and give it up to God at some point, right? Like,
for me, it was reframing, I think, is one of the big things. Because if you like, Felipe has never slept very well. He still does not. So when I was up in the middle of the night, I was like, oh, this is so awful. I'm up. And then I was like, hold up. I could be saying a decade or two of the rosary. So then I started looking at it as like, this is a way that I can like pray. And maybe I'm supposed to say this rosary right now. And sometimes in the middle of the night, you have like different thoughts that you do during the day. So I would just pray with those, and yeah, that really helped a lot, is praying through whatever popped in my head in the middle of the night, praying for them. Or
from the perspective of, as you mentioned, the prayer and their faith development. I mean, they're kids right now. Well, two, just a few months old. Like, how do you see, or do you see already, like, their relationship with God? Well, they're in the church, they're kind of doing their thing, but did you notice anything that is kind of developing in them with that relationship with God, with the church, with, maybe it's too early yet, I don't know, you moms, not me.
I can, Teresa, go.
I was like, we have a saint shelf over our dinner table, and so Felipe, whenever we were sitting down for dinner, he like looks at them and says hi. So we're trying to get him to like say, pray for us, right? It's like trying to teach them small things, or like saying hi to Jesus statues and saying "Love you, Jesus" and stuff like that. So
they're really talkative, and I just love it to hear from them. Patience, of course, that's one of the qualifications. That's what you need as mom. Thank you, Pira, for sharing this with us, because that's a big part. I probably wouldn't be a good mother. It's because you really need to have a lot of patience and unconditional love. Absolutely. This is related to the next question that I wanted to ask you, and it's kind of explain to us what you're doing here in the parish. But Pam mentions, do you think that being able to share or connect with other parents helps in your journey? Sometimes it can be tough to include family when they're far away. Would having that support be beneficial or challenging? And I think you just introduced, both of you introduced in our parish, Moms Club. And I think that somehow answers that Pam's question, if it's important, it has a value. Tell us a little bit about it. Like, what is it all about? How it's going? Do you find that as a support or a challenge? And this is your time to pitch in for the Moms Club too.
It's really fun. No,
I can imagine.
I know that for me personally, I'll just speak on like with my relationship with Teresa. Actually, I think having another mom as a good friend who's a Catholic is really important. I know, especially with having a husband who's not necessarily living the faith, it's really challenging for me to come home and like, I'm not like Teresa. She has a saint. Well, I have pictures of Mary all over the place, but I find it a lot more challenging to actually take the time in prayer and to have another mother who does all the things that I feel like I'm lacking in that certain, really helps me. And she actually helps me to, she helps me remind me of my faith. And she's so devoted that it just, I don't know, I feel like it rubs off on me a little. So yeah, I'll do the rosary once a week now instead of never. So it's, but I don't know. It's really important, I think, to have other mothers, because it helps your faith bloom, and it helps, like, hi Felipe, it helps everything. I don't know, and it's going well, right, Teresa? I wasn't at the last meeting because I had to see somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have other friends who are Catholic moms, and even moms who aren't necessarily going through like new babyhood. Because it's like they've been there, they've done all these things, they know what's ahead of us, they know what's coming, which is something that I really appreciate in the moms group, is talking to people who have like grown kids and are grandparents, and like, getting to hear their experience, answering the questions as they do, and you just learn so much. And yeah, I'm away, like my family isn't close, so it's really helped in that way.
Can you tell us, like, if there's moms here in Hamilton, because it will be difficult. Well, they can travel if they want to from Brantford or St. Catharines or wherever they're watching from, but realistically, for the moms who would like to physically join the Moms Club, like, tell us where do you meet and when and how long it takes, or.
So we meet the third Sunday, we waffled a bit, the third Sunday of each month, at 2:30 at the parish offices, which are at 20 Emerald Street South in Hamilton. It lasts for approximately an hour, maybe a little bit more depending on how lively things are. We welcome all moms, from brand new moms, we have moms who are expecting, we have moms who are grandparents, and we do sometimes everything varies. It varies each meeting. So sometimes we have studies where we look at some different parts of motherhood. Last week we asked people to bring in their favorite Advent traditions, Advent or Christmas traditions, so that we could share those. And then, so next month, I think we're having a little Christmas party, because it'll be the 9th. So it'll be very exciting. So if anyone wants to join us, it'll be the 19th of December at 2:30, and it will be a real fun time, I think.
That's great. I'm I'm looking forward to hearing the stories. I'm not going to join you for that meeting, but I'm always looking forward to hear the stories there, like and how much fun you had. And you can just imagine, like, just look at those two screens, how much fun is happening there. Like Ava wants to talk, and Matthew is, I'm sure, somewhere there around, and it's full joy. And I agree, as Susan mentioned here, it's beautiful to see the children. So that was a very unique cafe that we have. So I want to say thank you to you, Christina and Teresa. It was wonderful chatting with you. And I think and I agree with you. When you mentioned in that advertisement for Moms Group that this is about vocation to motherhood, I totally agree. It is a vocation, especially from the perspective that you shared, your experience of married life or being mom. Like, it is a calling that you answer, and you can fulfill that, the mission that God gave it to you. And I encourage you, all of you who are watching right now or will be watching later on, we will continue our Vocation Cafe. It will be interesting to see what will be the next. Just stay tuned. We'll announce that. I see somebody is asking as well, Lona, how can I join to become an oblate? There is many ways to be an oblate as a priest or religious, but as well as an oblate associate. And for all of you who are interested to learn about the oblates, just visit our website. This is for OMI Locum Canada province, and there's lots of information there that you can find. But now I want to thank you, Christina and Teresa. I want to wish you all the best. Enjoy those kiddos. But I want to play something special for you with dedication to you and to other moms. I know that Mother's Day happened like once a year, but I think you are moms every single day. And I want to wish you that happy Mother's Day today and every single day. So any last words of advice before I play a special dedication for you? Any last words of advice for moms who are watching us today?
Just know you're not alone.
Yeah. We're all going through it.
Beautiful. So thank you.
Also, Mom's group at St. Pat's.
There we go. All welcome. We're looking forward to it. Thanks so much, and happy Mother's Day today.
Well, moms, today is your day. It's a day to say thank you for loving us, caring for us, and guiding us. It's a day to recognize all you do and all you are to us. Your perfect, wonderful, amazing children. Thanks for all the early mornings and for taking care of the things we take for granted. Thanks for never giving up on us, even when we stress you out. Thanks for making sure we have what we need and for giving us your heart even when you're sick and tired. Thanks for working hard even when we're a handful and for loving us unconditionally when our attitude is anything but lovable. You're our everything, Mom, and we'd be a mess without you. Today, we thank God for the wonderful gift of you. Happy Mother's Day.